Hi, my name is Molly, and it's been on my heart the past couple weeks to share my testimony. And I'm not really the speaker type. I'm not really the kind of person to get up in front of a crowd of people and share anything. I get super nervous, but I know how to talk in front of a camera. So I I've tonight I've just got it on my heart that I need to just get my testimony out there. I need to just speak to people and post on Instagram since I have Instagram and Twitter. Since I have a small following, I guess um, I have the opportunity to speak to you guys and share what God has done in my life. And I'm just gonna go right into it. So when I was growing up, I wasn't really in a normal family. I have three brothers and a sister, but my dad was in and out of prison my whole life, and so we never really had a father figure, and we weren't really ever um, like a normal family at all. We didn't have that much money whatsoever, so I was living with my grandma and my grandpa most of my life, up until fifth grade, and my grandpa actually got cancer and passed away when I was in fifth grade. And I changed. I really changed back then. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't want to do anything. I fought every single morning with my mom and my grandma. Um, every morning before school up until 10th grade. But when I was in middle school, um, I I started I I was in sorry. I had really insecurities. I had a lot of insecurities, and I since I didn't go to school, people would always be like, "Why are you not at school?" blah 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 blah. And so I needed some kind of self-worth, I guess. So I started talking to a lot of guys and doing stuff with a lot of guys in middle school, and it of course got around, and so girls started saying hateful things to my face and started making me feel even worse about myself. So my aunt offered up her house to me, and so I moved here in eighth grade, and I liked it okay, but I still didn't go to school, and so my aunt, so I moved back to Oklahoma, and eighth grade was I moved back in eighth grade again, and the rest of the year was perfect, and ninth grade was awesome, but 10th grade rolled around and things started changing. Instagram started becoming popular, and I just developed so many insecurities about myself. I just wanted to be that perfect person who posts perfect pictures and has a lot of followers, and I could never do that. I could never do that. So I just really hated myself back then. Like really, I really hated myself back then. So I started self-harming. I started cutting myself, and I started just crying every night. I fell into an extreme deep depression, and uh, it was just really bad. And so I was on a dance team back then, and since I missed so much school, the girls on the dance team didn't like that, and so they started talking horrible about me, um, and they started just making me feel worse about myself. So I quit the dance team, and one night I was just feeling really horrible, and so I was started cutting my legs again, and after I finished, I started I started praying, but it's weird because I've never really been in church. I've gone to church, but the church there didn't. The girls were there at that church, and there's just been times where I've had to leave church bawling my eyes out because the girls were being so mean. Um, I mean, I've gone to church, but it was only on like Easter or Christmas maybe or something like that my whole life. My mom never really pressured it on me. She wanted me to know God, but she didn't like force it on me. So um, one night after the night that I was praying, I was like, God, just get me out of here. I can't take this anymore. Like there's no way that I can physically do this anymore. I am exhausted and depressed. I just can't. I mean, I knew who God was, but I didn't know him. I didn't really know who I was praying to. I was just praying, you know. And it's crazy because the next day, literally the next day, my aunt calls my mom out of the blue and says, "Hey, you know, Molly can come down here and live with us whenever she wants, you know." And so that's what I did. Um, I got up and I just moved here. And she said there was one thing that I had to do though. I had to go to church every Wednesday and Sunday, and I hated that. I did not want to do it. I really just didn't want to do it because I had such a horrible experience at church, and I didn't know anyone, and I wasn't the type of person to talk to people. I was very shy. I was very, very shy, and so that Wednesday that I had to go to church, I was really reluctant about it. I was like, oh, I really don't want to do this. So I go anyways because I had to. And that night, my youth pastor, Mark, he said something that has stuck with me for 3 years since I've heard that message. It stuck with me. That you don't get good to get God, you get God to get good, and it's really just resonated. I can't begin to describe how that has affected me because my whole life I was like, I'm not good enough to know Jesus. I'm not good enough to raise my hands in church. I'm not good enough to go pray on my own or read my Bible or do any of that stuff. So when I heard that, it really stuck with me, and it's just like I don't need to be good to get God. I just have to get God to get good. And so that night I really just thought, and I really got saved that night, but I didn't get fully saved. Get I wasn't in love with God yet. And so after that night, the devil knew that things were working in my heart. So um, that night I had the opportunity presented to me to start smoking weed, and so that's what I did. I smoked, and because I didn't know back then, and what the cause was going to have on me. I was in 10th grade, and so I started smoking weed every day, all day, every day, try to get it however I possibly could. Um, so I struggled with that for a really long time, and I actually moved back to Oklahoma for family reasons because I missed my family too much, and I got in with the wrong crowd when I moved back. Um, I was in the crowd who just wanted to party all the time, and so that's what I did. I just partied all summer long. Every night I was just drinking and smoking and doing bad things and saying horrible things to my mom and my grandma, and I was a different person. I was a horrible, horrible person. And so I moved back and I went to summer camps, and I did all of the stuff I was supposed to do, and I started to know God, and I started to learn a lot about Him, but I was still doing the things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. Um, and so a couple of years goes by, and my uncle, who has been the father figure in my life since 8th grade, um, he got cancer, and I took it pretty hard. I didn't realize that I took it hard, but I did. And he passed away last September, and I went numb. I really did. I didn't want to feel it, so I made myself not feel it by popping pills and smoking and doing horrible things, and it was really not a good time. And so I was doing those things up until a couple of months ago in March, and I was in a really really low place, like probably the lowest place in my life, and so I got some help. I went to this hospital, and I didn't have any contact with anybody outside, and I was so mad to be in that place. I didn't know what to do, so all I did that whole time was pray. And I lost somebody really close to me. They left me, and I took that really hard. And so being in there did not make it help whatsoever. So when I got out, I tried to still contact them, and they kind of just cut me off. So that was really hard. I really was forced to find myself, and I'm so glad that that happened. I really found myself when I um, didn't have that person in my life anymore, because I put all of my love and everything into that person, and I'm so glad that they're not glad that they're not in my life, but I'm so glad that that happened. And so I'm still struggling with smoking and doing stuff, and so a couple of weeks ago, I really just couldn't do it anymore. So I completely just went cold turkey and just stopped and started reading my Bible and doing everything that I possibly could to get out of where I was. But I still didn't feel God the way I knew I should be feeling Him. And so this Wednesday, I went to a church camp conference thing at CFNI. It was YFN, Youth for the Nations, and that that night, the message was absolutely amazing, and they had altar calls. So I went up, and I knew that I needed to go up there, and so I just started praying, and I didn't know what I was praying about, and I just got this feeling over me that I needed to go pray for this girl, and I had no idea who she was, and so I just got a picture of her, and I was like, I'm not the type of person to do that. I don't do that. Like, I've never done that before. I've never just gone up to some random person and say, hey, I need to pray for you. But I just got that overwhelming feeling that I just needed to go do that. So I got up, and there was probably 1,000 people there, and out of those 1,000 people, I saw that girl that I knew I was supposed to pray for. I saw her, and I just immediately went over to her, and I was like, hey, can I, it's kind of weird, but I feel like I'm supposed to pray with you. And so she said, okay. And I started praying with her, and I didn't know what I was supposed to be praying about whatsoever. But what was coming out of my mouth was exactly the things that I went through in my past, was exactly the things that have haunted me this whole time. Um, and she just lost it. She started bawling, and she's like, I don't know how you knew any of that stuff, but thank you. And I was like, I don't know how I knew any of that either, but that affected me probably as much as it has affected you, because that it changed my life. I've never done that before, and it was absolutely amazing. And so I go back the next night, and everything was going awesome, and the preacher was amazing, and so he had altar call, and so I didn't really feel it on my heart to like really go up and pray, but so we were all just kind of praying together for my pastor and all of this stuff, and so service was over, and we were all just kind of hanging out in the sanctuary. There was only about like 30 people in there, and we were all just hanging out, having fun. I was hanging out with my friends, and I look over, and there's this little boy in a wheelchair, and he was 11, and everyone was praying for him, and or a couple people were praying over him, and I was like, that's, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I look over, and there's this lady standing there, and I don't know who she was, but I just got this overwhelming feeling that I needed to go pray for her. I need to go pray with her, and I was like, nah. I was like, no, there's like, I can't go do that. Who am I to go do that? So I just started talking to my friends again, and I just was like, just hanging out. And for 10 minutes, I had that feeling, and I kept hearing God say, you need to go pray for this woman. And so I was like, sorry guys, I can't ignore this anymore. I have to go pray for this lady. And so I did. I got up, and I just went over to her and started praying with her. And I felt a weight just lifted off of her shoulders, and she was just bawling. And so after I got finished praying with her, I got up, and I started walking, and I saw that my friend actually went over to this little boy, saw me walk over to this lady, and he went over to this little boy, and he started praying with him. Hold on a second. He's about to die. And so when I saw him praying with him, I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I wasn't expecting anything at all. And so I started talking to my other friends again, and I hear people like clapping, and so I look up, and that little boy is up and walking. He has a disease where his muscles in his legs make it like deteriorate over time, and he couldn't walk, and he's had it for 7 years, and he's 11 years old, and so his muscles were extremely weak. And after my friend went over there and started praying with him, he got up and was walking down the aisle, and I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. And God was just like, if you wouldn't have gone and prayed for that lady, my friends wouldn't have seen that little boy that needed to be prayed over. They wouldn't have seen that people were praying with him and that they needed to go over there. And it really hit me hard, because I don't normally have the courage to just go up to some random person I've never met in my entire life and just pray with them. And since I did that, that little boy was delivered from his disease. He got up out of his wheelchair and started walking down the aisle all by himself with no help. And I've never had anything like that ever happen to me before. I've never experienced anything like that before. It was just an amazing thing, and it's really just changed my life. And now I've just felt on my heart that I need to share this story. I need to share my story to people to help people to know that they are not alone. That there's some that God is out there wanting them, and all they need is just that moment that they just ask Him, and He will come. He will do whatever He possibly can to get close to you and you to get close to Him. And I mean, I'm not that good of a speaker. I know that a lot of people aren't going to watch this whole thing, and I know this thing isn't going to change that many people's lives, but even if it just changes one person's life, even if one person hears this story, hears my testimony, and hears it in their heart, and makes them feel something, makes them feel God close to them, and say, like, hey, this is awesome, like, I want this. Even if it's just one person, that is okay with me. I don't care if it's 1 or 50. I don't care. If that one person's life gets changed because of this, that's all that I need. I've just felt it on my heart that I should do this. I mean, I'm not that great of a speaker. This isn't the best video in the whole world, but I've just really felt it on my heart that I should share this. So, yeah, that's all that I have to say. So, thank you for watching.